I'm going to do a quick demonstration on how to tighten a hog ring. Bear with me since I'm going to be doing this without it being on the actual piece of metal. Hog ring is loaded in your pliers. You would go up to your piece of metal, stick it in, and my finger would be the metal, and you want to squeeze until you can't squeeze anymore. You now see it makes a triangle. Okay, now this is where I have to deviate a little bit. Your next step, this is where you need a pair of slip joint pliers in the widest position, not in the closed position, but in the open position. You want to go up to your hog ring and grab it right below. See this piece that comes across? You'll see it clears the head of the pliers. Whoops. There. You squeeze until you can't squeeze anymore. Then you'll set your pliers on the bottom of the V and this ear. Again, in the widest position. You see how I have it set on the bottom of the V and the ear. You bend down. Then you're going to do the same thing to the other side. And I'm going to have to flip it over since this is a little hard. The bottom of the V and the ear. You bend down. That is basically hog ring tightening 101. Once we do it on the metal, it'll be a little bit easier to do. Alright, as we talked about earlier, I said that when we did the runways, the beginning one gets butted this way where they line up. Now your next sections and all the sections after that are going to be replaced by one square. And I'll show you why later that we're doing that. Also, as a refresher course, I told you, runners, the longest piece of wire running on the object, needs to face in. As you can see, this one is not doing that. So we flip it over and we make the runners face in. The reason for this is these pieces that are coming up this way, if your wire is like that, it creates a gap. You want a very tight structure on your runways so the runners always face in. After that, the first thing you do is you hog ring, and yep, it's going to fall. As I showed you earlier on how to tighten, I'll show you how to tighten this so you don't have to worry about it and make a freestanding structure. I usually put my hog rings in, first one in, then I skip 2, maybe 3, and put the third or fourth one in. So in this particular case, I'm going to put it here. I am working on a shorter piece. This is not 5 feet like I had told you that they come in. I'm working on a shorter piece for demonstration only. Alright, we've completed putting the hog rings in. Now we want to tighten them. As I showed you earlier, when you bring your pliers in the open position, you grab each side of the hog ring. Notice that the V, or the bottom of the hog ring, is touching this piece of wire. The 2 ears are on the other side of that wire, and my pliers are falling just short of those ears. So when I squeeze, these things will go past the ends of the pliers, and that will allow it to tighten. Then, the bottom of the V in this ear, you take the pliers and touch the V, you touch the ear, you close. There's no turning, moving your hands, you just simply close. You do the same thing on the other side, the bottom of the V, the ear, and close. If you still have airspace, you can take and put your pliers on this one V, this one ear and the V, squeeze, and then do the same thing for the other one. The V and the ear, squeeze. And if you want, just for grins, close it. If you notice that one hog ring has already made this stand up by itself. Now you go to the second one. Again, bottom of the V is touching the metal. Pliers are clear of the ears. Squeeze. Bottom of the V in the ear. bottom of the V in the ear, tightened. You do that subsequently for the last one. If you've also noticed, I've offset this by 1 square. And I'll show you why after we do all 4 sides of why this has been offset. Every other one, all the rest of your 5-foot runways that you put in place will always be offset like this. Just your first one has the edges lined up. One of the things I talked about earlier was making sure that the bottom of the V of your hog ring touches wire. The reason for that is, in this particular case, if I was to, this is the bottom of the V, if I was to try to tighten this hog ring, now, it is trying to straddle 2 pieces of wire. So if you simply make sure that it's touching, the bottom of the V is again touching the wire, you're able to tighten your hog ring fully and you won't have this slippage. A good tightened hog ring, once it's done, should not move. That is what gives you the stability to a runway. Now, the next thing, the reason for the extra 4 inches is that you want to be able to feed your new piece onto your very beginning one by taking the extra 4 inches and sliding over, almost like a sleeve, to line up to your other runway. If you have trouble lining that up, I told you to get a pair of channel locks or T-Rex. Remember these? These are good for helping you pull the runway forward to line it up. You will subsequently then begin to hog ring here, here, and here, and here, here, and here. That creates better torque to keep this from shifting when the monkeys go in there and start banging around. Once you've done this side, you'll go to the other side and do the same process. Hog ring it here, here, and here, 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 and here. And you will tighten those hog rings. After you've joined your runways together, and I did it quickly, so I've only got just a few to hold this in place, you've still got your top and bottom. This one will take 3 hog rings, the outside, the center, and the outside. There is a big gap between these, more than 1/4 of an inch, so it's going to be a little hard to tighten the hog rings, but just getting them there will help secure this. If for some reason the gap is too big or you can't get these two to line up, no matter how hard you try, don't worry about it. Your best stability is right here on each side. If you feel more comfortable as opposed to doing just 1 square overlap, you can actually take your top and bottom and slide it back another 4 inches and come up 2 squares to secure this.